You might be wondering what the difference is between coaching and supervision, particularly if you're a head teacher. So I thought I'd just spend a few minutes just explaining the difference as I see it. I'm someone who provides both of those services. And in particular, I think for head teachers, supervision is super helpful. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about what it is and what the differences are so that you can make a choice about which one you'd prefer to go for. Now, it's worth saying at the outset that whichever coach or supervisor you speak to will probably have a slightly different take on it because each coach brings their own flavour to coaching and each supervisor brings their own flavour to supervision. So, here I am as somebody who was a head teacher and has been a coach for the last 5 years and has also done coach supervision training. So I'm coming to it with those three different experiences, and what I'm offering in supervision, I see as distinctive from coaching. There are similarities. So, a couple of the things that are similar between both approaches are that basically it's an opportunity to talk things through. And as you talk things through, things come into view that you didn't perhaps notice before. People often say to me, "You've helped me to see the wood for the trees." And I really like that analogy because it's when you're busy, when you're overwhelmed, sometimes you just don't see all the things that are in the reality that you're facing. And talking them through really helps. So there's that element to it. But also there's a sense of restoration. So there's a restorative element. And that's all about unburdening yourself and having an opportunity to refill your cup, as it were, if you like that analogy. And both coaching and supervision can do that because when you get into a space where you're not being judged, where you're safe to speak, and you can decompress a little bit, you're likely to feel lighter and as though the burden has sort of gone down a little bit, at least. So that's something that's in common to both coaching and supervision. The other thing that's common to both of them is that they give you a chance to really develop yourself as a leader, to grow in a direction that you want to develop into. So, if, for example, you're a leader who really wants to empower their staff, then you might want to grow in a direction where you're bringing coaching into your leadership. And that's something that you could explore in coaching sessions or in supervision sessions. So the restorative element and the developmental element are both there in both approaches. So where supervision comes slightly differently is, I think, in the third element, which is the professional element. And that is where you're bringing live issues from your day to day work as a head teacher. And in supervision, we explore those together. It's very much a partnership, a collaboration. And as you talk about the live issue that you're bringing, I ask questions that help you to see things from different angles, different perspectives, to maybe take the perspective of a particular stakeholder or group of stakeholders, or to, if it's about a difficult relationship or a difficult conversation, maybe to step into the shoes of that other person to just help you kind of look at it through a different kind of lens. So, perspective taking is a really important part. It's an important part in coaching as well, but in supervision, we're looking at it specifically in a professional way. And that's where I think my experience as a head teacher is helpful. I'm not bringing that into the room in order to tell you what to do or to kind of advise you, but I'm bringing my experience in terms of the questions that I ask. So, for example, if you're talking about something and I wonder to myself if there's a risk involved, based on my knowledge and experience, I could ask a question like, I'm wondering if there's a risk here that, and that can help to bring that potential risk into the room so we can examine that together. That's where my expertise is helpful. So, the other thing that's different about supervision is that it tends to be a more of a regular thing. So, with coaching, you're looking at something time limited, whereas with supervision, it's something that's ongoing. Now, with coaching, you'll have a few sessions, you'll build a coaching relationship with your coach, but you'll have a goal in mind or a particular outcome in mind that you want to achieve through the coaching. Supervision means that you are having a regular session, so you can look forward, if you like, to that regular session, whether it's monthly or half-termly. But across a year, for example, you'll know that you've got regular sessions coming up, and that gives a slightly different tone to the work. And it means that over time, we can explore themes that are emerging for you and things that you want to develop over the long term. But in each session, you can really decompress and you can tune into something that's live for you now. We'll hold the threads. Next time, we might check back in on how that went. But each time, there's the opportunity to bring something fresh. So that's a slightly different way of working. It's that regularity, the idea of live issues, but it's also with supervision, it's that sense of the professional, the looking at it from the bigger picture in terms of all the stakeholders who you work with, as well as yourself. And I think finally, I would just add this point, which is that in coaching, you've actually got a very flexible approach where it can really just be about you. So in coaching, you could just be talking about your well-being and how can you, get on top of your workload, for example. That might be a topic for coaching. But with supervision, we'll always just be considering the bigger picture in terms of the job that you're doing and the people in your community and how what's happening with your well-being is going to impact on the bigger system of your organization. So there's that bigger dimension to supervision, which doesn't mean that we can't talk about well-being. We absolutely will talk about well-being, but it's in the context of the job that you're doing. So just to summarize, you've got the three elements of supervision: the restorative, the developmental, and the professional. And with coaching, you've got a more flexible, a more time-limited approach that tends to be more goal or outcome oriented. I hope that's helped you to understand the difference between the two services as I see it. So do feel free to fire any questions at me that you may have, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you are interested in exploring these services with me, then please do drop me a DM. You're welcome to do that on Facebook. Or if you go to my website, mrstcoaching.com, you can book in for a free consultation. Thank you.